tough being a nightly urban conservative talk show host. It really is. It's one of the toughest jobs that you could have in America. Dave Milner will be joining me in just a few. But there's a story I have to give you tonight out of Washington D.C. It's the fact that an urban conservative host was verbally accosted, and intimidated in his headquarters chat room by none other than his right hand in that chat room, his bouncer in chief, Mary Brockman. If you diss her, you diss me, you will be dismissed. Whoop, 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 just like that. And I have been intimidated by Mary Brockman verbally. And it went something like this. Let me just show you exactly how it went.
You know what we think!
Traitor! 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 Traitor!
Yeah, it was kind of like that. Mitt Romney on his air flight home to the White House. I mean, forgive me, to the Congress, being called a traitor by all of the. And this is why he was so mad that they stormed the Capitol. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they actually came to tell him he was a traitor. You know, but nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, Mary Brockman said that I bring on my good friend Dave Milner too late in the show, just way too late in the show. He normally comes on at about 10:30 in the evening, 10:40 sometimes. I've been late when I'm ranting. But every moment that Dave Milner's on the air with me is a solid moment. It's not like a moment where you can just dissect and say, "Oh, that's screwed." No, this is a consummate conservative commentator. You can hear him on English Defense League on Blog Talk Radio at 3:30 on Thursdays, except for today, I don't believe, and 3:30 on Sunday. And you can also hear him on SHR. So Mary Brockman, I am going to tell you, as all the other lamestream right-wing media hawks and salivating cutthroat congressmen from the GOP, I'm apologizing for what you did in that chat room. I am uniquely disturbed and insulted, and we must get America back on its wheels, and we won't do it until that type of violent accosting doesn't happen in America. So there you go, Mary. I love you. I love you, smooches. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I want to introduce to some and present to others my very good friend, Dave Milner. Save me, Dave. Save me. Mary's going to get me.
Well, Ken, Mary is one of the things that drives us all. She is a consummate reviewer, and she is a no BSer that doesn't allow us to throw out any BS either. And we need people like her in our corner to let us know when we're off base. She is a very valuable person, and I'm more than happy to. In fact, I might actually give Mary a prize from the Unpleasant Vine Guy. It is a pet squirrel. I don't know if it's actually a pet per se. It's a squirrel that's been living in my building's outside molding until the construction guys took that away from it, and it is now trying to create a new home somewhere in the vicinity of my window. And I'm thinking about offering this to Mary. Ordinarily, I would sell this squirrel for 4 easy payments of $39.95.
Exactly.
The tax, title, and license are extra, of course, and plus shipping and handling.
Yeah.
But Mary is such a wonderful commentator on the Commentators. Who watches The Watchmen? Mary Brockman.
Mary Brockman.
Watches The Watchmen.
Mary Brockman.
She does, and she is deserving of such a thing. I'll have to consult with her though, because like yourself, Mary has a feline in the house, and the little squirrely squirrel might not survive.
Talk about your appetizer. There you go. Mary Brockman, we found an appetizer for your cat. There you go, a squirrel. A lot of individuals, Dave, are under the opinion that America is all right. We're going to be just fine with 4 years, well, actually 6 months of Joe Biden and 3.5 years of Kamala Harris, and a Marxist House and a Marxist Senate. We're going to be just fine. I want to give you the opportunity, sir, to convince me of that. Are we going to be just fine, sir?
Oh, yeah. I mean, no worries. You've got the super fantastic team of Captain Dementia and Prophylactic Girl, your sidekick, on your side, fighting for you. Just like they have fought for you, well, just as Kamala Harris fought for all of those prisoners that she kept in past their release time in California, just as Joe Biden fought for everyone in his dealings with China through his son, seeing how much money he could get out of it, and in the meanwhile being what the guy who runs a show called We Got a Problem on YouTube calls the kitty sniffing shit weasel. So yeah, it's going to be just a perfectly wonderful time. We've got absolutely nothing to worry about. Voter fraud, that's not real. You know, and we've got the Green New Deal to look forward to. So goodbye windows, right?
Woo! Just in time for your squirrel pet. There you go. The Green New Deal. Listen, we got Vice President Kamala Harris, and the knee pads were included. So we're in great shape, America. We really are. I want to give you some real thought, because the left has taken pot shots at the death of Adil Babbitt, the 14-year U.S. Air Force veteran who was shot and killed yesterday by U.S. Capitol Police for storming into the, I believe, the House chambers. As they were pulling her out, they shot her. And there are those on the left that basically stated that she was a terrorist, that she deserved her death, and quite frankly, all the others should have been killed as well. I want to give you the opportunity to respond, Dave. Is that the type of cordial Marxism that is to be expected in the next 4 years with the left?
Well, what you're seeing, Ken, is exactly what's been going on in the UK for years. It's just with guns added. Carrie Baxter Donovan did a great, interview with you on this very thing. It was a complete setup. They were looking to have this happen, and the left were all prepared to point the fingers and say, "See, here are these evil, violent righties." And they had to be put down. And by the way, Ashley Babbitt was a bad person and did deserve her death. I actually saw some of that disgusting stuff on Yahoo quote-unquote news earlier. And the first thing I thought of was Tommy Robinson. Even dead, this 14-year Air Force veteran's reputation is being completely trashed. There are good conservatives that consider her, quite honestly, to be a martyr for freedom and liberty, and yet the left, as you said, want to paint her as a terrorist. One of the stories I saw was, look at this terrible stuff that she puts online. She put a picture of Governor Gavin Newsom online with a stop sign on him. And she went in for this QAnon stuff and everything. So, she was a terrible person. And the canceling of people through this media, all right, has even gone to the canceling of dead people.
Yeah.
All right. It's very similar, almost, in a sense, to George Orwell being put on a list of shame in the British Library, because his great-grandfather or something owned slaves or something, or some garbage like that. That was not about any slavery thing. It was about Animal Farm and 1984. That's what that was about. And Ms. Babbitt was not about anything but making anyone who is not in lockstep with Team Dementia look bad.
Yeah.
That's what this was all about. And I got to tell you, Ken, honestly, I had such a beautiful time off, and it was so great that I dragged my feet a bit coming back, because I knew what I was coming back to. But I was thoroughly disgusted by what I saw. And Carrie Baxter Donovan's description of what went on, it sounded very, very similar to EDL demonstrations that I've been hearing about for about 7 or 8 years. You have police leading the peaceful demonstrators into situations where they could be attacked, and of course the moment they try and defend themselves or fight back, they get arrested, not the people doing the attacking. Only this time it wasn't with bricks or cinder blocks or rocks or used hypodermic needles. It was with a pistol round.
Yeah.
Right.
And I want to, if I could interject here real quickly, Dave.
Go ahead, please.
Because a lot of people aren't noticing or wondering why I'm showing these particular pictures of the gentleman that actually led the storming. The dude in the yellow hoodie has the hammer and sickle tattooed on his left hand. And in addition to that, and let me just make certain that I get this picture right for you all. This particular picture here shows that he was part of an Antifa event and also a Black Lives Matter event. So I just want to explain to you, ladies and gentlemen, that the people involved in that event yesterday were not your peaceful conservative movement, Bible-thumping individuals. These were leftists. And I want to thank Bonnie Williams, my executive producer, for providing some of this information for me. These were individuals who were co-opted into this particular thing. They, by surly means, of course, by the left to fix a narrative that caused the GOP to come out of the closet for who they were, apologists for the left. And I want to show you, ladies and gentlemen, and a lot of people in England haven't had this particular opportunity, but we want to show you exactly what happened yesterday. It is not like what is being proclaimed by those of the left. And unfortunately, a U.S. Air Force veteran died. And I believe that if she were black, we could play the double standard card if we want. If she were black, there would be marching in the street tonight. Let me just play this video. She's getting shot. And for those of you who have queasy stomachs, please, you can turn away at this point.
That sounds like a fucking Got an active shooter. Yo, there's an active shooter here. Get her down. Get her light. Flashlight.
Ladies and gentlemen, she died a patriot. She died wearing a flag for Donald Trump. She died having flown from San Diego to Washington, D.C. for this particular MAGA event. She died because it was more important for the left to win and the right turning over. I've got to ask you here, Dave, a lot of people are disturbed when they know the truth about all the things that happened yesterday on Capitol Hill. 1 dead from the shooting, by U.S. Capitol Police officer. 3 others died from medical asphyxiation. I got to ask you here, sir, are you disappointed with the conservatives that were there? Are you disappointed with the reaction of the Marxist media and Congress people? Are you disappointed with the reaction of the GOP and their dump Trump movement?
Well, to the picture you showed earlier of the guy with the hammer and sickle tattoo, that individual is what Cal Fritzy, who we lost in August of 2019, used to call a provocateur.
Yep.
Someone who implants themselves in a group to cause trouble and therefore make that group look bad. We saw this here in the United States with the Tea Party. It is common practice in the UK and Europe to have these people infiltrate themselves into these peaceful movements. It doesn't matter what it is, an anti-lockdown protest, a demonstration against the Islamic child sex rape gangs. If the left is against it, they will put these people in. And of course, as we know, they're very well funded. But they can be easy to spot. Now, in this particular instance, almost every act of violence that was committed was by one of these people. It didn't matter whether it was violence against someone else or whether it was trying to break windows and things of that nature. These people were in there, and it shouldn't surprise anyone that this happened, and people should be prepared for this to happen in future. And my suggestion is that when you have your group, all right, that and you know people and everything, it's nice to have meet and greets and get to know each other and things of that nature. And if there's someone in your group that's joining your demonstration, keep an eye on them. That is part of the reason why the EDL has security people. They're not only to protect the EDL members, but also to kind of keep an eye on new people that come in, because you never know when one of these people is going to start trouble. And of course, when they do, what those security people do is what the security people and others in the Tea Party movement did. They remove them and take them over to police officers and say, this isn't one of ours, please take it off our hands. Now, as far as the reaction from the Republicans, from the rhinos, it's not surprising. And it's also not surprising that some people in the mainstream, and I don't mean the media, have reacted negatively as well, because they don't know about these things. Mm-hmm. Again, these things have been going on. I've been talking about them. Jeff Mitchell, and all of the EDL team have been talking about this stuff for 8 years. Yeah. But it has not, with the exception of people like yourself, this has not been put into media here in the United States of America. So people are unfamiliar with these things. They're unfamiliar with these strategies. Mm-hmm. And they have to be made familiar with them. And I have a very sinking feeling that that will happen in the months and years in the future. And you're seeing the same thing going on also with the media that went on with Tommy Robinson and the EDL, or with Begida or For Freedom, those groups in Europe, people of that nature. Everyone who saw your interview with Carrie Baxter Donovan, what she was talking about is typical of almost all of these demonstrations that happen on the right, all over the planet. People take their kids to these things, their dogs, and it's almost like a party. Yeah. All right, but you always have to be careful of the people who are going to try and instigate. All right. As for Ms. Babbitt, she certainly did not deserve to die. And as far as the anger goes, Ken, when you tell most of the voting public that their vote no longer counts and their vote will never count again, you've taken away every peaceful means that they have for self-expression, and you've told them that they no longer have representation in the federal government.
Yeah.
Some of them are going to get angry, and justifiably so, because you've taken away every peaceful means of interaction with their government that they can possibly have. So yes, there will be some, very likely, I'll just give an impression of this because we don't know what would have happened.
Yeah.
Very likely, if those people had made it onto, for instance, the House floor, they would have probably done nothing but make noise.
Yeah.
I don't think one person would have been hit. I think they would have gone up to their representatives and remonstrated with them, but it wouldn't have gone farther than that. Unlike the left, who would have of course instigated violence. But yes, this whole incident was a setup, and people should keep a perspective on what's real. And when they get these reports of violence and these condemnations and things like that from the rhinos and from the fake stream media, they need to take a good, long, hard look at where they're getting this information from, who they're getting this information from, and who, by the way, worked very hard to make sure that this election was stolen.
You know, I would have thought, and I got to give kudos to Rush Limbaugh, because I had a chance of listening to some of his show today, and he sounded a whole lot like I did last night. A sense of adamant rebuff against the GOP for their dump Trump movement. And you have individuals like Laura Ingraham, and the head of the International Women's Forum. I forget her name. She often appears on Maria Bartiromo's show, and they each are being apologetic. And this is what we're hearing, Dave. This is not the way we fight the left. We should not fight the left this way. We apologize for the way we are being smeared by the image of being violent. We are not violent people. This is not the way we change America. The best way to change America is to win elections. Where in the hell are we ever going to win another election, Dave? And then secondly, how are we smearing the image of America when it took a revolution to create America in the first place? Please respond to this, Dave.
Well, your first point is absolutely right. Dana Lash, who is someone I have tremendous respect for, came on her show and said, well, everybody needs to do things like be a poll watcher and be a door knocker and be a phone bank worker and all of that. Well, if we still had a legitimate election system, I would agree with her. Mm-hmm. But at this point, it's easy to say, well, why do that? Because we're not going to win national elections, especially, Ken, when I can sit in the comfort of my living room with my PC and I can manipulate the election results, the vote tallies and everything on election machines anywhere on the planet, as long as I have a net connection.
Yeah.
All right. So that first part is gone there. We're down now to resistance, and I do agree with. Well, actually, I've said this for a long time, even before we went to the Christmas break.
Yeah.
All right. Resistance should take, in my opinion, now the form of, let's take the example of Mississippi. All right. Let's say Mississippi passes a law that says that the state will no longer fund abortions. Mm-hmm. Right? And a federal court brings down a ruling and says, no, you must fund abortions. Absolutely, you must do it. This is a point, Ken, where the states, let's say Mississippi in this case, just says, oh, well, we thank you for your opinion, but we're still going to do things our way. Because if states can and should, at this point, say, if you are going to delegitimize the representation of our voters, then we delegitimize your federal courts, and we delegitimize the Supreme Court, because they've delegitimized themselves. All right, the path forward, it must be resistance.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Now, Dave, I put the image of Thomas Jefferson with the blindfold on that says "Refresh the tree." Can you, on behalf of those who are listening to you out of Great Britain and its auxiliary provinces and states, explain what does "refresh the tree" mean when it comes to Thomas Jefferson? Wasn't he someone who said that resistance would always happen in America?
Well, Thomas Jefferson said that occasionally the tree of liberty must be refreshed with the blood of patriots. But I'll give you a later one. This is a quote that Jeff Mitchell loves to read at the beginning of every EDL radio show, and the quote says, "Those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable." And let me ask you, Ken, who said that one?
Who said which one? I apologize.
The one that I just told you.
I wasn't it Jefferson?
No. That last one was John F. Kennedy.
Ah, see, now I got an F in today's history class. I apologize.
It's all good. And for anyone who's watching and saying, okay, well, these guys just want a civil... No, we don't want a civil war.
No.
Okay, what I'm talking about is resistance. Now, obviously, I'm an advocate of people defending themselves if they're physically attacked. That's a no-brainer. All right, but if the states like Texas and South Dakota and Florida and Iowa and other states like that no longer feel that their people are being properly represented by the federal system, then what reason do they have to support that federal system? And obey its edicts, be it from a federal court or from the Supreme Court or from a presidential executive order.
Exactly. Now, I also want to play this real quick for you, so I'm going to cut my audio and so that you'll be able to hear it. But a lot of people are under this impression, Dave, that the violence started yesterday, and somehow Muriel Bowser, the mayor of the District of Columbia, who couldn't find the National Guard fast enough in the summer to stop churches from being burnt down in the District of Columbia, but found them fast enough to try to stop people from going through windows in the Capitol, is getting an immense amount of credit for being a great leader. She's an idiot, a freaking idiot, and a Marxist, and this is exactly what you're going to get in your neighborhood. But I want to play a video for you so that you can hear it, where there were those on Capitol Hill that were announcing that Nancy Pelosi and the rest had already started to change the Congress on Sunday. This is Congressman Clay Higgins, ladies and gentlemen. Congressman Clay Higgins.
Because they have constitutional authority, they have legal authority to do the things like we just voted on just now. Of course, we're trying to stop it. You understand? But we don't have the votes. We don't have the votes to stop them if they do things like this and they just discard their core principles, if they had any to begin with. Again, motion to recommence 100 years old, man. Unbelievable. And proxy voting, totally unconstitutional. Completely unconstitutional. There's not one of you, none of you, from any party, anywhere in 435 congressional districts across the country, from sea to shining sea, none of you voted for a digital representation of your congressman or congresswoman. None of you voted to allow your congressman or congresswoman to just give their vote to somebody from another state. Some of them hadn't been here for 4 or 5 months until they had to come to vote on the rules package and to be sworn in. Unbelievable what's going on in D.C. I'm in the fight. We'll see what happens. Oh.
Real quick. Nope. To that. All right. There we go.
Ooh, sci-fi.
Sci-fi. There we go. But literally, he's admitting that it's over. It literally is over, Dave. And people around the world don't understand. How does that sound to a patriot in Kentucky? How does that sound to a patriot in Nebraska? How does that sound to a patriot even in urban America when he hears his congressman say they just voted out anyway that we as Republicans can fight back on the House floor or even on the Senate floor? They're getting ready to take away the ability to argue bills away from the minorities in the Senate. Literally, we are under one-party rule in America. This is Marxism. This is Third World Banana Republic. How does that sound to a patriot, sir?
Well, it sounds terrible. You know, I had a friend, I still have a friend, who's non-political, and when I tell him these things that are being done by the left, and this has gone on for a few years, his first response is, well, they can't do that. Well, they are doing it. And they're doing it because they no longer respect the institution that they're supposedly supposed to serve. All right? They want to be the masters. What you're seeing now is the deconstruction of the American Revolution.
Yes!
We now have a new royalty, and the new royalty is the left. It is, quite frankly, what they have schemed and fought for ever since their desire to put in a constitution which would create an overpowerful central government. And it took those who wrote the anti-federalist papers to put in the Bill of Rights, which for over 200 years was respected. Now that's out the window, along with the rest of the Constitution, because they can. That's the thing. They can. And what it sounds like to patriots in the states you mentioned and patriots in the states I mentioned, okay, is a complete and utter takeover.
Yes!
And the only thing that I can think of for conservatives to do is find states to move to that will already accommodate them and strengthen that accommodation. And at that point, make sure that their desires and their vision of a free American republic stays true, because the vision of a free American republic is gone now.
Yes.
And we have entered a dark time, as we discussed in very briefly in that excellent Christmas show that we had, that you and your lovely wife did so much good for. Just an awesome show.
Listen, we had a great time with listening and talking with you all, Jeff Mitchell and the great people of Britain, listening to our selections, and thank you all so much for the invitation. But literally, I'm telling Americans tonight, this is not Dave Milner. This is Ken McClinton, an urban conservative out of Washington, D.C., Southeast. Okay, if you really want to come here and blame and challenge me, I'm here in Southeast, so take it under, precaution. I'm telling you, we're headed to a civil war. We literally are. It will be, if they go down the road, number one, bringing us into the climate accord in Paris is a tipping point. Bringing us into the Trans-Pacific Agreement is a tipping point. Bringing about mandatory mask wearing, bringing about national gun control, taxing ammo, and then here's the real tipping point. When you make Washington, D.C. a state, so that you might have 2 Marxist senators for stacking the court, you have given Americans nothing else to do but fight. There's nothing else on the... There is a reckoning, and that reckoning will be paid with patriots' blood. And it's Marx's blood. But I just want to throw that out there. Dave?
Well, this is, as we were discussing on that Christmas show briefly, the year of fire.
Yep.
Because the left has always wanted to burn it all down. They've never been for an American republic, and they're in the process now of destroying it. And it's not just going on here; this is going on worldwide. The Marxists around the world have used the Wuhan virus to institute very draconian measures all over the planet. Countries that you used to look at and say, oh yeah, these guys have got it. They're really great people. Are knuckling under, and it is a sad thing to see. Countries like Australia, which is very similar to the United States, are doing it, and it's very insidious. And all I can say is that we have to resist. I know I'm sounding a lot like a broken record here, okay? But
yep.
That's what we're down to.
Yeah.
It really does upset me a very great deal that this is all we have left. At this point, we're at the stage where Trump supporters and just plain patriots, because it's not about Trump, we know this, it's about us, are being murdered.
Yeah.
Okay, it happened during the election, and I consider the Ashley Babbitt shooting to be an assassination.
Yeah.
It's happening in our own capital. So the fakers, the phonies, the people who are desperate to make money can continue with their dump Trump message. They can continue to try and blame President Trump and President Trump's supporters and patriots who just want freedom and liberty for all of these things. But the true patriots of this country know the truth.
Yeah.
And the truth is that all through the summer, riots, as you pointed out yourself, Washington burned for 2 days. No National Guard called in. Okay, the Capitol Police just happened to allow the Capitol building to be stormed, and out pops the National Guard. Now that's going to be another thing.
Yeah.
That has to be addressed. There are going to have to be some people in charge of National Guard units around the country who are going to have to say no, because no one in the United States military is obligated to follow what they believe is an unlawful order.
Yeah.
And that is something that I think is going to be tested over the next few years.
We have been put in a very quixotic point in American history. And quite frankly, the GOP has been taking aim at windmills and coming up with great many losses. Donald Trump did not lose his election. He won in a landslide. And we talked earlier with Bradley Johnson, who explained to you exactly what took place. And the truth of the matter is, Americans are freaking tired. I would use other language, but it's my show and I don't want to degrade it in such a demonstrative way. But Americans are fed up. They are tired. They are exasperated. We've been forced to wear masks when it doesn't. We don't need to. We've been told that my job is non-essential and my wife has to take care of the kids at home and take care of them because her job has been called non-essential, and we can't go to church, and we can't sing, and we can't praise, and we can't go anywhere, but our politicians can fly all over the dang world and enjoy themselves and eat at a French Laundry in California on the highest level and most expensive level. We are actually in an enlightening period. I mean, was this not what Marie Antoinette said? Let them eat cake? Have we not gotten here in America? Dave, I want to give you the final say.
Well, it's like I said earlier, kid, they're setting themselves up as the new royalty. They want to make it as if the American Revolution never was. And the saddest thing of all are all of these rhinos who, and I've said this for many years now, are perfectly happy to be a loyal opposition, whipping boys to go on CNN and get castigated and everything, as long as they get their money, their power, and their privileges. It's time to dump the system of parties and to create a new system whereby our representatives can be chosen through a system of accomplishments which can be found and enumerated, and we choose our leaders that way, not whether they have an R or a D after their name. The system has to be changed because the system isn't broken, it's been broken.
Yeah.
And now is the time. If I leave your viewers with anything from this week, now is the time to resist. And no, that doesn't mean grab your rifle and go out and plug an opposing politician. It means whenever they tell you to do something like wear a mask or socially distance or you can't go to church or you can't open your business or things of that nature, you say no and live your life the way you want to, as God inspires you to live it. And I thank you, kid, for having me back on, brother.
I'm looking forward to your return next week, Dave. We got some resisting to do, and we're going to fight mightily, and we will be victorious in the name of Jesus Christ. God bless you, sir, and all that you do at English Defense League. Will you have a show this Sunday, sir?
Yeah, we absolutely will have a Sunday show. I'm stepping away from doing the Thursday shows just because of all the construction and everything. It has me up so early that I usually wind up at this time of day on a Thursday just completely exhausted. So I've had to give up doing the Thursday shows, but I'm still going to be second banana with Jeff Mitchell on the Sunday shows, and he is going to be rolling solo on Thursdays for a while, and he may even get another sidekick to work with him on Thursdays. But the Thursday EDL radio shows available at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on Blog Talk Radio will still be there, and I'll definitely be there with Jeff as his side man on Sundays at 3:30 p.m. Eastern.
Maybe he should call Dr. Jane Ruby. How about that? There you go.
Oh my God, he fell in love with Dr. Jane. He did. Yeah. I'll bet she would love to.
I'm quite certain
like that. But at any rate, we will be around. This is the year of fire, and our show name today was Flying Into Fire. So we're in it now.
We're in it,
and there ain't no turning back.
No turning back. Dave,
God
we love you,
brother.
man. God bless you. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. EDL, ladies and gentlemen, Sunday on Blog Talk Radio, 3:30 p.m. Make certain that your dial is turned directly there. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I got to take a profit break. When we come back, I'm going to close out the evening with more of the best at Urban Conservative Talk. Bonnie Williams, thank you for sending me all that information, which distracted me from answering that it was John Fitzgerald Kennedy. See, you messed that up, Bonnie, not me. I love you. God bless you. We'll be right back.
Soulful music. production.